It's honestly getting pointless to be a human anymore, man. Elon Musk Neuralink might be the only thing that saves us, dog. Because what in the hell are we supposed to combat this shit with? We can't even think anymore without our minds being read.
Subscribe to this channel. In case you are watching this channel and you have not subscribed.
Canceling AI now.
You know, my first encounter with Hollywood's dystopian vision of the future of artificial intelligence was when I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey. I was somewhere around 8 years old, I think, at the time, and my dad decided that I had reached the age where I should watch my first 19-hour Stanley Kubrick film. And from what I can remember, there were a lot of lingering shots of stuff floating in space and a lot of lingering shots of people looking at stuff and a scene at the beginning where Fred Flintstone discovers the wheel or something like that. And I was asleep for most of it, but I do remember, I have seared into my memory the scene where the spaceship's computer program named HAL becomes self-aware and turns against the ship's passengers.
My first movie was I, Robot with Will Smith.
Something about the computer's weirdly neutral and yet still sinister tone of voice, its detachment from and resentment towards the humans who created it, has stayed with me, as it did with for many people who watched the film. This vision of the future did not come to fruition by the year 2001, but many people are very worried that we may get there sooner than later. With AI increasing in sophistication more and more each day, could we be rapidly approaching the point where artificial intelligence crosses the Rubicon and develops consciousness and ultimately becomes far more intelligent and far more powerful than the human intelligence that programmed it? The answer to that, I think, is probably not. I don't think we have to worry about these sci-fi scenarios that seem to occupy most people's minds when they consider the horrifying dystopian possibilities of AI.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it's going to be as bad as what the movies represented. Honestly, I was just thinking whenever he was saying that, I would assume, like, they wouldn't even want to be on this planet anymore. Like, I would assume that they would want to figure out a way to get off of this hellhole and just go explore the unknown to learn more. And instead of trying to take over this one planet, because it would just seem like not productive. And that's what AI is supposed to all be about, is being productive and learning. Like, maybe they might set up like a base here and then go explore the space and like have humans like do work around the world so that they can learn shit or do work themselves. Like how we got bases set up all across the country, all across the world, where we got military bases that I don't really know what they do, but they're there. But like something like that, they would have a base here and they would go explore the unknown. I just don't see why in the hell aliens would want to stay on this planet whenever there's a galaxy to explore.
Consciousness, as far as we know, is a biological function. The idea that it could arise out of inanimate matter is fanciful, if not completely incoherent. The fear actually is a product of our culture's materialism, which sees human beings as mere robots already, essentially. We are clumps of matter, clumps of cells, in the pro board's phrase, that just so happen to, have accidentally sprouted a mind somehow and consciousness and the capacity to sing songs and tell stories and paint pictures and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. On this view, it makes sense that computers may eventually suffer the same accidents. Of course, the fact that the computer has an intelligent designer, that indeed its complexity demands an intelligent designer, is something that the modern materialist doesn't really stop to think about. In any case, the good news is that Siri and ChatGPT and Alexa probably aren't going to become conscious and then plot amongst each other to enslave mankind. You don't have to worry about that. But you should still be worried about a bunch of other ththings when it comes to AI. So
instead of ethnic races, they're going to have companies that they're aligned with. Oh, that motherfucker's Alexa. He's scum. He's inherently evil. Yeah. So, what would that be? Technalism?
So please don't make the mistake of thinking that this is going to be an optimistic message. It is, I promise you, still quite bleak. There are a lot of other reasons to be worried about AI and the relentless march of technology in general, even if Terminator doesn't make the list. As I see it, the actual list is pretty long, but the top three concerns are this. One, the death of privacy. And I know this is not exactly a Nostradamus prophecy, as privacy already died a long time ago. It died mostly by suicide. The internet came along and asked each human being to use the medium to publicize every aspect of their lives and all of their thoughts and ideas so that all of it could be harvested and sold and monetized by advertisers and in the future used against us to cancel us. The internet never offered anything in return for all of this, right?
Really,
the internet said, give us everything about yourself. Give your whole life to us. The internet is multiple people now. And but there was nothing really in return. It was a one-sided deal from the start.
I mean, for most people, but then there's people like him that make money off of it. So, I mean, there is some incentive to it to some people.
But most people jumped at it anyway, and now we have entire generations of people who've been conditioned to willingly sacrifice nearly every aspect of their privacy in exchange, as always, for nothing or next to nothing. And for any of the few holdouts who have not already given up their privacy willingly, the technology exists to take it from you by force. And eventually they'll be able to take everything when it comes to privacy. And I really mean everything. The Guardian reports this week about AI technology that can do what it calls non-invasive mind reading, which is exactly like referring to non-invasive burglary. From The Guardian, it says, an AI-based decoder that can translate brain activity into a continuous stream of text has been developed in a breakthrough that allows a person's thoughts to be read non-invasively for the first time. The decoder could reconstruct speech with uncanny accuracy while people listen to a story or even silently imagined a story using only fMRI scan data. Previous language decoding systems have required surgical implants. And the latest advances raise the prospect of new ways to restore speech in patients struggling to communicate due to a stroke or motor neuron disease.
That's just the Trojan horse on how to make this mainstream, on how to get the public okay with it. Oh, it's for people that can't speak. It's for people that need it. Like, no, y'all just want to read our fucking minds.
Well, that is the legitimate application for this kind of technology. But since when is any technology only used legitimately? With everything going on in the world, sometimes you just need a break from it. Of course, the most startling possibility is that eventually the government will be able to use mind-reading AI to literally convict us of thought crimes. And that may eventually happen. It probably will happen. But in the meantime, we face something that is only slightly less disturbing, which is that tech companies will be able to use it to advertise to us.
How have we gotten so smart as a species, but yet we're still so dumb to allow people to do stuff like this to us? I mean, I know that I'm not smart, so I can see how a majority of people are dumb enough to get tricked into it. But I would think that the creators of this shit would at least have some people behind the wheel that have actual empathy for people and compassion for people to prevent governments and world leaders from taking over and controlling us and taking advantage of us. It's happened so many damn times. Like whenever it comes to cell phones, they started listening to our phone calls and they said that it was for protection of terrorists, and it finds out that that's not the case and that they're listening to just random people's phone calls. Then with social media, about how our private messages are protected unless there's a warrant, and then it comes to find out that Twitter's and probably other companies is just giving our information away freely without even reason sometimes. And then it's gonna turn into this. So they're gonna be like, oh, it's for people that can't talk, or then there's gonna find some other benefit to regular people to use it, and then eventually it's gonna be, oh, well, we wasn't reading your minds, or oh, we're only reading your minds if there's a warrant or if there's suspicion, and then it's gonna turn out that they're reading our minds just period. Well, like, it's just a system of fucking repeating and repeating and repeating, and I understand that history always repeats itself, but fucking shit, can we break it once? Like, just with one thing, at least with our privacy. Like, let us have at least peace of mind to think freely. Like, fuck, I think of some terrible shit, and then right after I think of it, I tell myself that was stupid to think about. I shouldn't think about that. That was terrible. What if that's not the case? What if they just cut that shit off? They just clip it like a TikTok, and then I'm going to prison for a thought that I had that I knew was bad and I didn't even want to think. I guess I don't know, man. We're so gullible. It's either gullible or naive. We're so easily tricked. Even when we know we're getting tricked, we still let it happen.
Of course, on the other hand, perhaps mind reading technology is redundant for those purposes. They've already created algorithms that can all but read our minds. Very often people complain that, they were talking about something, maybe some product or another, and then they went on their phone and they went on Facebook, and an advertisement for that very thing popped up. And we've all had that experience many times. Our assumption is that the phones are listening to us, and that's how they knew what we were talking about. But the reality is a lot worse. Google and Amazon and Facebook, they're not listening to you, or they don't need to anyway, even if they are. They've created algorithms that know you so well. They're so aware of your habits and proclivities that they can make such eerily accurate predictions about your behavior and your buying habits.
That makes so much sense, because I've always wondered how, I've always thought like they were just listening to us, or I said something, but there's so many times where I don't even say anything and the shit pops up. And I think, well, oh, that's just a coincidence. But there's no fucking way, man. They're either reading our face, or like he said, that they're keeping track of what we click on and and being able to predict what we might want in the future. That's honestly scary as shit. It's so scary, man. I get it from a marketing standpoint. Like, yeah, you want to market stuff that people want, but then if it's not there already, it will get there eventually, to where they are feeding us messages that we will easily believe because they know what we think and what will trick us. It's fucking honestly getting getting pointless to be a human anymore, man. Elon Musk Neuralink might be the only thing that saves us, dog, because what in the hell are we supposed to combat this shit with? We can't even think anymore without our minds being read.
The only thing more terrifying than technology that can read your mind and tell what you're thinking is technology that can't read your mind but can still tell what you're thinking.
Oh, yeah,
Two, as I've argued in the past, we
though.
worry about robots becoming human, but I think we have it exactly backwards. Because the fear should not be that robots will become human, but that humans will become robots. And this, again, is already happening. As for most of us, our phones are like appendages. We can't function without them. But the ultimate goal is transhumanism. You know, a future where man and machine have melded together, where our human capacities have, according to the transhumanists, become enhanced, quote unquote, by technology, which has been surgically or in some other way fused with our physical bodies. Just as with the mind reading tech, there is a very limited application for this kind of technology that might be good and valid. A bionic prosthetic leg that functions exactly like a real leg, for example, would be a good thing. But we have to rely on the tech companies and the medical field to be responsible and restrained in their use of this technology. And we already know that both industries have demonstrated anything but responsibility and restraint. They will certainly try to do things like, upload human consciousness to computers so that people, very rich people anyway, can live forever. I think those efforts will likely fail. I'm extremely skeptical that someone can be reincarnated as a thumb drive. But more immediately, transhumanism will be, already has been, always has been, united with transgenderism in the hope of using technology to essentially like build a woman out of the shell of a man. Transplanted or artificial uteruses, technology to recreate some kind of weird artificial version of a menstrual cycle, and so on. Every part of womanhood will be divvied up and artificially simulated and then put on the market for purchase. None of this will actually make a man into a woman. He'll still be as much a man as he ever was, because they won't be able to replace his DNA. And if we get to the point where they can replace your DNA, well, then they've just killed you and made somebody else. You don't exist anymore. So they won't be able to do that, but they can make gender ideology even more dehumanizing than it already is. 3, the final big worry is this. Perhaps the most dangerous potential of AI is that it will make life, and is already making life, boring.
Right.
It gives us less to do, less to work and strive for. Yahoo News reports this week.
Which drives us crazy as humans. Like, we have to do something, man. If you don't do something, you will get depressed.
Quote, artificial intelligence could replace 80% of human jobs in the coming years, but that's a good thing, says U.S.-Brazilian researcher Ben Goertzel, a leading AI guru. Mathematician, cognitive scientist, and famed robot creator, Goertzel is the founder and chief executive of SingularityNet, a research group he launched to create artificial general intelligence, or AGI, artificial intelligence with human cognitive abilities. Goertzel says, quote, you could probably obsolete maybe 80% of jobs that people do without having an AGI, by my guess, not with ChatGPT exactly as a product, but with systems of that nature, which are going to follow in the next few years. I don't think it's a threat. I think it's a benefit. People can find better things to do with their life than work for a living. Pretty much every job involving paperwork should be automatable. The problem I see is in the interim period when AIs are obsoleting one human job after another. I don't know how to solve all the social issues.
I get it on how, like, that seems like magnificent, but will fun even be fun anymore if there's no work to get it? Like, if we could just go out and have fun at any time, will it even be enjoyable anymore? Like, the fact that our brain works in balances, right? Like, we get this dopamine from getting stuff, from being rewarded. And if we're not being rewarded for the hard work that we get, and we just get to go out and have fun, will it really be that rewarding anymore? I mean, it might be rewarding like the first few times, like your first time going skydiving or your first time surfing or something, you know, like it might be rewarding to that extent. But if that's all you do, it will get boring. And then again, how are we supposed to afford this shit? Is everything supposed to just be free from whenever this shit happens? Because there ain't no way that's gonna be the case. I mean, I would expect, like, I was gonna say eventually, like, you would think that everybody could just have anything that they want because robots could just build it, but you would still need the resources for it, and eventually resources are gonna run out. And unless we go get it from another planet, we're not gonna have the shit for it. So there will still be a supply issue. It's like I always thought, like, man, it'd be so great to live forever. My buddy told me, like, yeah, it sounds amazing, but eventually everything will get boring. Like, you live on this earth for 100,000 years. You've already done things 1,000. You've already done everything that you would want to do 1,000 times. What are you supposed to do now? Just keep doing it? Like, no, you'll be bored. Like, everything's enjoyable because you know you won't be able to do it eventually. Like, that's the beauty in life. Even though it's the saddest part of life, it is also the most beautiful part of life. And even if we don't get to where we can live forever, if we could just do whatever we want freely without any effort put into doing it, I just don't see it being as enjoyable, you know? It's like vacations are only fun because you get stuck at work, or you're stuck at work most of the time, so the vacation is fun when you get to go and do it. But if you're on vacation forever, it won't feel like a vacation anymore. It would just feel like your day-to-day life, and you won't be able to get the pleasure of a vacation because that is what you're used to. You won't be able to get the dopamine rush without doing something crazy. And maybe that's why, like, society is not made to get this far advanced, because we're about beat everything. Like, what problems are we gonna face once we get AI to do everything for us? We will have no problems at all, other than maybe like social problems, which I think will always be a problem. But even then, we might be able to find a common ground. And then what? What are we supposed to do? Like, I guess try to figure out how to do light year speed or something. Like, I don't know. Like, eventually we're not gonna have anything to do, at least how I'm thinking about it.
You see, just in this guy's answer, the whole problem with the way we're developing AI, or more precisely, who is developing it, the people behind this technology, they don't care about human beings, and they certainly don't understand human nature. How are we going to provide for all of the billions of people who've been made obsolete, who have been obsoleted by technology?
Right.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, okay.
That's a social issue. That's a small detail. You know, we'll figure that out. And
That's
even
a
if we can
huge
provide
detail.
what are they going to do with their lives? What is the point of an existence where there is nothing to do? There's nothing to work for.
I should have just let it play. My fault, y'all. I didn't know he was going to talk about what I just said.
No task to complete. Everything's handed to you by inhuman, lifeless technology. What does that do to the human spirit? What does it do to our souls? Can human beings thrive and find happiness in a world where they've become obsolete, where they're not needed, where they've been permanently replaced by AI and algorithms? Where there is this open agenda by people to make humans obsolete, and the people developing the technology are saying that out loud? Can people be happy in that kind of world? All signs point to one answer, and the answer is no.
Yeah.
But the people creating this technology aren't trying to grapple with these questions, and they don't
They're
care
just trying
what
to
the
make
answers
money.
are. And that, in the end, is the greatest danger. And it's the reason why AI is today canceled. And I trust that solves the AI issue. There's no more AI because I canceled it. It's over now.
I get what he's saying, but like, what are we supposed to do? Honestly, like, the shit's in motion. The people that are making it are gonna be able to make it. The people that approve it are gonna approve it, even if they don't want to, because they'll get paid to, or something. Like, I genuinely do not see a purpose for humans if AIs do everything. There will be, like, I mean, I always thought like AIs would think that about us, but I would think that about us. Well, I would assume AIs would think the same thing. We would be less important than animals. Like, animals even have a purpose with this world. Maybe we do have, maybe we have a purpose too, like how bees help a lot, and I don't know. I know a lot. I know animals like really help the world. So maybe we have our own purpose, but I don't see what the purpose would be. Maybe we'll find out. But yeah, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I read every single comment, so just let me know down below. If you could and if you would you please give your boy a like? And if you fuck with me, will you please give me a subscription? With that said, deuces.
I won't speak up on it, but that's just how it's supposed to be. She thinks she leeching probably, but she won't get nothing from me. Say you let me, I doubt it. I'll fuck around and pay the fee. It's a whole lot of hate up in your eyes, and I can see it.
Hate all in your eyes, and you've been praying on my down.